The new UFC gloves, are they better or are they worse? Let's talk about it. So I saw this post on Instagram by Garrett Armfield. He is a UFC fighter, and you can see he is displaying the old and the new UFC gloves that should be making their debuts pretty soon. But just looking at this photo, you can see there's a lot of interesting things that the UFC decided to change about this glove. Some good, but some bad. I'll let y'all determine and see what y'all think. If y'all think these gloves are better for the fighters or could possibly be even worse. So we can see Garrett Armfield here with this is the old glove, this is the new glove. So you see there's the large padding mostly around the fingers and the knuckles. And then this one, it has the padding around the knuckles and the padding more so on like that wrist area. The old UFC gloves, they're much more wider with their padding, whereas this one looks like it's much more formed to the hand, a lot more slimmer. So now the main issue with these gloves were the eye pokes. And you can see here that these are much more straight. They don't really force your fingers down. And there's not much that the UFC could really do with these types of gloves because they don't want their fighters' hands to be completely shut because they need a grab. They need to be able to grab stuff and still be able to freely move their hands as much as possible without too much tension because, then you're favoring more the striking than you are the grappling aspect. So you can see here, these are much more straight and these seem like there is a little bit of a curve. I can't really tell from this finger, but this one you can see it's a little bit more bent. And you can see right here on these ridges, they do look more curved down. Of course, this isn't going to completely fix the eye poke issue. There's going to be eye pokes regardless, but you see it does kind of point them down a little bit more. I like to see more of a side angle to see, if it actually has more of an effect. But what I'm guessing is where they probably went here is that so it makes it a little bit harder to completely point your fingers straight outward. But here's where some problems may lie because you see this is all the padding is right here. This is a very thick padding all around the entire hand. They decide to disperse the padding from here and to the wrist. So my question is, why did they do this? Because if these gloves are going to be the same weight, they basically took the padding out of this knuckle area and put it into the wrist. So that tells me that there's going to be less padding up here in this knuckle area. So possibility of much more knockouts. Hey, maybe some people might like it, be like, hey, look, we'll get to see more knockouts for it. But then others, of course, are going to hate it because they're going to think it's a lot more dangerous. I like the idea of like the slimmer glove looks more fit and formed to the hand, but I don't know about taking some of that padding out of the old glove and just putting it on the wrist. What is really the point of having the padding on the wrist? And then you make the strap a little bit smaller. In my opinion, I think the strap on the older ones is better because it's thicker, it's more formed to your wrist, it's a lot more protection. Whereas this little thin ass strap, and because of the padding, it's going to push it down a little bit more. A lot of fighters like to use this strap basically as extra wraps to protect the wrist. So now there's kind of like a pad there where the strap should be, because having the strap all the way down here kind of defeats the purpose. I honestly don't really know what to think about the gloves. I like how you can kind of see that it is pushing the fingers down, but I don't like what they did with the wrist. And I'm really not sure how I feel about how they dispersed the padding downward rather than having basically all the padding more on the fist and the knuckle. But I'm curious to see what all of y'all got to say about it. Feel free to give me your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, I thank you all so much for the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.